All right, it's that time again to talk about the Leatherman Garage. Batch number 3 was announced and we just started getting emails for it now. And this is the picture that we got in that email. And so a lot of people have reached out to me to ask questions, and I'd like to do my best to answer those and also kind of give you an idea of what's going to happen and how, if this is the very first time you watched a video on Leatherman Garage. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, a recap on what Leatherman Garage is, or at least what it's been in the last 2 batches. So this has been an opportunity primarily for Leatherman to make exclusive, limited runs of ideas that they are throwing around for multi-tools or other products in their lineup. Now, for the first one, we had the Leatherman Mr. Crunch, which was a homage to the original multi-tool designed by Tim Leatherman, which was really quite cool, and I had a chance to review on this channel. The second one was the Dark Side, which is very similar to the NASA Charge, except the big thing that I missed when we initially discussed it was the fact that the pivot on the plier head was actually adjustable, which in many ways I think is a huge improvement. Now, whether you agree that there should be limited runs or exclusive Leathermans is sort of a topic I'll go into a little bit later, but this is actually a very interesting tool, and I'm hoping they'll come out with a version with a adjustable pivot, plier pivot, in the near future, because I think it's a really good upgrade. Now, let's get into batch number 3. So the only picture we have is this one, and it's showing 2 blades. Now, at first I have a lot of mixed feelings about this. Number one, if there's one aspect of Leatherman tools that I think is at least a decade behind, it's probably in blades. And it's not about the mechanism of opening. I actually think the Leatherman Free K4, K2 are actually amazing when it comes to the blade mechanism of those tools. However, what I'm talking about here is their like materials and price ratio. My guess that at best, these blades are going to be made of S30V. And S30V was an ultra premium steel about 10 years ago. But today, it has been completely outclassed by just so many steels. Now, I could be completely surprised here, and we all could be, in that they release it with something special, some new steel that they haven't used before. CPM Crewwear, MagnaCut, no, that would be too much to ask, I think. Vanex, no, I doubt any of those. My guess is that it's going to be S30V. If it's less than that, I think you're going to lose interest with people quite quickly. Also, their prices for S30V are really high when you compare it to how that steel is faring overall in the market. Now, I want to talk a little bit about these blades, and I'm very confused. I normally have a pretty good sense, or at least I did for the first 2 batch, I have a pretty good sense of what it is that they're showing me. In this case, I'm perplexed, and the reason is I don't see how these blades connect with something. There's a very small hole on this. Doesn't feel like it's big enough for a pivot for a slip joint, which is what it would have to be in this design, because there doesn't seem to be any shape on the tang of the blade that would allow it to sit and lock into another piece. Now, I could be completely wrong about this, but it seems strange to me. Now, I think that hole could be a ball detent hole, potentially more so than it's likely to be a pivot hole, because it's incredibly small, and it's likely to bend at width. Even a standard Victorinox Swiss Army knife has a bigger pivot at 2.2 millimeters than what that appears to be. And if it's positioned where it is, it would need a very wide handle to accommodate the sweep of that blade. If you look at where the hole is relative to the steel, it would have to create a very, very large area for it to attach. So my second guess is that somehow these blades click into something. And that is kind of neat, but we've seen this before. And the problem is every one of those systems being proprietary has never taken off. Cold Steel recently released something similar to this, if it is this, a few years ago, and it never really took off because the question in everyone's head was, okay, why wouldn't I go with a standard utility knife, or why wouldn't I go with a easy to find scalpel? You know, that's the question that people get. That's the question that everyone was bringing up when that came out. And if it's a high-end steel, then these individual blades are also going to be very expensive for a very specific modular system. So I'm kind of confused. I honestly don't know what this is going to work with, but it concerns me that they are showcasing the blades and not the thing that they are best at. And Leatherman is very, very good at plier-based multi-tools, right? But it doesn't feel like that's the focus of this batch. It seems like this is about knives. And if there's one field that Leatherman should avoid at all costs, it's probably knives, because they are sorely behind the eight ball in that category. There are just too many brands doing it really well and at very good prices to jump into this market. I mean, heck, you can buy a Hogue Deca in Magna Cut steel with an Able lock, which is like an Axis style crossbar lock, for $130, with probably one of the best steels that you can find right now. And that's made in the United States. So it would be incredibly difficult for Leatherman to break into this market in a meaningful way that's going to end up turning a profit. But that being said, this is Leatherman Garage. So swinging it back around, there will likely only be 500 of these, which means fewer than 500 people will be able to purchase this. In the last two batches, you were able to buy up to 2. And it is my guess that a number of people were working together and probably buying way more than 2 so that they could then turn them around and sell them for massive profits on the market, which is exactly what we saw. We saw the Dark Side going up for massive numbers. The Leatherman Mr. Crunch went up for massive numbers as well on eBay. And that's not surprising, because if you're a collector of Leatherman, there are probably thousands of Leatherman collectors, serious ones. And 500 is not enough to even remotely cover it. And if 200 of those people are just casually buying it or just happen to get in on it, they're going to be incredibly rare. So that's kind of unfortunate for them. But at least here's the good news. It looks like this may be one they could skip, because it's possibly not going to be a plier-based tool. You know, I really wish instead they had shown something that would have been similar to the Leatherman Skeletal. This is a tool that is incredibly popular. It is essentially a one-handable pocket knife, right? That is light enough that people could justify it instead of just a folding knife. Wouldn't it have been neat to see just a straight up upgrade to this? I mean, using the same platform, maybe a couple of the extra features that we saw that people have created for add-ons, maybe a blade in an even more premium steel than 154 cm. I think that's maybe where they should have gone. And that would be something that they could probably translate into a product they could actually sell, not just as a limited run. Either way, I'm not sure I'm really all that interested anymore after my experience last time. So in case people want to know, and this is for purchasing, we'll talk about how to purchase this. I was correct when I said that it would be released at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. However, some people let me know that within 10 minutes of that time frame, they were able to purchase the tool. So somewhere around the 9 a.m. Pacific Standard is when it went live. Now, there's been no formal address on when those things go live, but it has been consistent the last 2 times. They may decide to change it, but you should know that's about the right time. The other thing I should mention is I made the mistake of clicking on the page that had all the different items for Leatherman Garage. And by doing that, it could not find the new one. And even though I kept updating it, I couldn't see it. So if you want it, make sure you're starting on the very first page of Leatherman Garage at 9 a.m. Otherwise, you will completely miss it like I did. So please go ahead and make sure you're on the first page, the main page for Leatherman Garage at around that time. Don't go deeper into that section of Leatherman's website. And then that would be your most likely way to get it. Also, they didn't explain that either, and I wasn't the only one who missed it because of that. I know a lot of collectors were really upset because they didn't know where they needed to be. So yeah, this is the state of Leatherman right now, and still no word on any new mainstay tool. So far, we haven't seen anything new coming out of them in a little while, and no information whatsoever. I get asked that regularly after I posted my video on the patent they filed, I think in 2020, for what looks like a new free series tool, a really good one, and no information as of right now. No idea on when they're going to release their next primary model. And so that's where we sit, and that is the state of the Leatherman Garage. So this may be one you can skip potentially, or it could be part of something really awesome. But either way, I think showing the blades gives me the sense that they're focusing on the wrong thing, the thing we don't really care about. If anything, I would love to see more Leatherman tools that have no blades, because so many people carry dedicated folding knives that they really love. Why play in that realm? Because you're going to end up not being all that competitive. Anyway, that's it. Just some basic information on the Leatherman Garage. And so you know, this will be happening on the 23rd of August. It says there in the picture, but just to clarify that as well. All right, so thanks for your time. I really do appreciate it. I hope this was helpful. And if you have any other questions relating to Leatherman, Leatherman Garage, or anything else, feel free to let me know down in the comments. All right, you guys have a good one. We'll talk again soon.